All right. Well, good evening, and I hope everybody, as always, is doing great. And happy 4th of July, too. So I hope everybody's having, um, hopefully enjoying your weekend and the holiday today. So I have a really cool video that I wanted to share, and that's why I've got my Deadpool t-shirt on. So um, Stan Lee, of course, passed away a few years ago, 2018, I believe. And I wanted to do an interview with him. So, and actually, I've been putting together some of these questions for a little while, and then we watched. I was able to watch Doctor Strange 2 with him too the other day. So when it came out, I was really excited to watch that. So I just reached out and asked, "Hey, you want to watch him and his wife?" Actually, I invited everybody. Funny enough, so um, I had reached out. I bought it on my television after it was in the movie theaters and everything like that, and then just threw out an invitation to all infinity, all eternity, basically, to come watch with us. So I played it on my television, and then we watched it. So it was really cool. So I was able to watch that with actually a lot of people, and Stanley included. And then ended up after that. This was a couple nights ago, I think 2-3 nights ago. Wrapping up like the our conversation and doing an interview with him, which he was totally up for. So that was pretty cool. And so I have all the information here from that interview. And as I go through the questions and answers, just to help kind of display who he was and then some of the things we're talking about, I'll show some screenshots on, like I usually do as far as pictures and things like that and websites and references. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. It was really cool. He is extremely nice and as nice and as patient as you remember him on Earth. Really cool. And I was a big fan of Marvel growing up a long time ago. But so Deadpool was new. I wasn't a fan of the comic book until recently, but until I saw the movie. I actually don't really, I'm not into comics anymore. That was a long time ago. That was like over 30 years ago. But I love the movies, and I bought this t-shirt after I watched the movie. And Spider-Man was actually my favorite thing growing up. That I collected like nothing but Spider-Man comics, so that was pretty cool. So that being said, I'm going to pull up some stuff here, and then I'll just kind of walk through the interview, and then go over what we said. It was pretty cool. It was actually a really great conversation. Okay, so here is Stan Lee's Wikipedia page, and so Stanley Morton Lieber is his real name. Stanley Lee is the like publishing name, or his book name or pen name, whatever you want to call it, that he went by. That he went by, and that's who everybody, of course, knows him as. And he was one of the founders of Marvel Comics in all the movies that we see recently. So, and it tells you right down here, for example, so he created Spider-Man, X-Men, right here, Hulk, Thor, Daredevil, Doctor Strange, and all of them, the Avengers too. So all those great movies that have been in the theaters the past several years, or like 10, 20 years or so, as far as it goes back, all came from him. So that's pretty cool. And when we first started talking, and I met him a while back initially, a little bit after he had passed away. His wife unfortunately died too, right around the same time he did. They have been together over 70 years now, which is pretty cool. Her name is Joan, so it actually mentions it right here. So I did tell them that was one of the things that I started this conversation with, was for the interview, was I asked her, "You and Joan happily together?" And he said, "We are happily together for sure." That's exactly what he said. And both of them too actually said, "Thank you very much, Jerry," which came from both of them, which was really nice. So, but yeah, definitely congratulations on that. And it's great to hear, and know that sort of thing. And it's just a nice confirmation of, the reality of the afterlife and how things just kind of continue from where, pick up where we left off, basically. So that was really cool to hear. And then one of the first questions I asked him, actually, here's some more pictures. So here's his Wikipedia bio. Sorry, I'm kind of covering his face right here. But there's some more pictures. He's actually in a lot of his movies. I think he tried to do all of them. But you could see him as he does a cameo, like a really short, just like a quick 5-second appearance in most of his movies, which is pretty cool. So you might recognize him from that, or just being a fan of these movies or comic books, that sort of thing. So here's more pictures of him. So I asked him, and of course, the afterlife. I always like to preface, just the reality of it and the fact that everything is infinite. So it's a great way to kind of both conceptualize and understand like how that works. Anything that you can attach to that word is real. Anything's possible. And of course, infinite life, health, and infinite possibility, which is really cool. So once you're over there, it's just basically everything you can imagine. Whatever perfect, whatever happiness and perfection is to you, that sort of thing. It's just everything is possible. So one of the first questions I asked him was, have you tried flying? So like flying through the air, kind of like Doctor Strange. And his answer was, yes, I have. And it was an amazing experience, he had mentioned. So, and then so I'd also asked too, did you try flying or with wings as well? And he said, yes, and also with wings, just like an angel. So that's really cool. Just imagining him doing that and being over there and being able to, do these sorts of things, like the stuff that you read about or watch in the movies. So very, very neat. And then I also asked him, did you try any other superpowers yet, like super strength? And he said, yes, I did. And super strength was one of them, my friend. That's exactly what he said. That's really funny because it sounds just like him it is him, but it was really great to be able to actually I've never met him while he was down here. So it was really cool to talk to him. But that's what he said. Yes, I did. And super strength was one of them, my friend, he said. So I also asked him, did you try to teleport like Nightcrawler? And he had responded and says, yes, I did give it a shot. So it sounds like he's having a lot of fun over there and just being able to experience, whatever you want. But of course, for him, like all the cool stuff that he was able to bring to life for us while he was down here on Earth. So, and then I told him, oh, yeah. After he said that, I said, that's freaking awesome. And his response was agreed, is what Stan said. So, again, it sounds awesome and fun. Sounds like he's having fun doing it too. So then I asked Stan, so what else have you been up to in the afterlife? And he said, talking with friends and family all the time. That was his response. So looks like he's been there. So this year it'll be almost 4 years. So a good amount of time. So that makes sense. And that's what a lot of people do too. And some of my recent conversations, if I recall too, just being able to take your time. I mean, you have forever, and just catch up with old friends, meet new ones, and of course meet your family and family you knew down here and the family you never knew you had, or knew that you had, but never had the opportunity to meet. So that was pretty cool. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, so we did watch Doctor Strange 2 with everybody who wanted to watch, which is a lot of people. I don't know. I can't even begin to really understand like what that meant. But the invitation went out to everybody. And so I had watched with them and asked them, what did you think of Doctor Strange 2? So Stan's opinion was, I loved Doctor Strange 2. I really did. That was his response. And so I'm not going to spoil this part of the movie, But there is a scene where Scarlet Witch, she showed up and then everybody was like, ready to fight her and everything. So that's all I'm going to say, because in case you haven't seen it, it's an awesome movie too, by the way. But I asked Stan, you notice how, like, between this scene and the last scene, she actually put on makeup before she went to go to war and, like, kill everybody throughout all known eternity? And I was like, man, chicks, man. And he laughed, actually, and he said, I did notice that. He said, I love it. So that was really funny. That was a little bit of back and forth that we had about the movie. Great movie again, by the way. I totally recommend seeing it. And then, so we're talking about the multiverse too. And then, so I asked, the multiverse is a good analogy for the afterlife, don't you think? So I'll kind of explain that too in a minute. And what that is, without really spoiling the movie too, but it's just basically the concept of infinite universes, like parallel universes. And, there's a different version of you living in each one, that sort of thing. So his response to that was, let me see. I'm sorry, I'm just going through my notes here. So, it sure is a great way to view the afterlife, how it works. That's what he said. So, and it just barely touches on that, like a few different realms in the movie that they go through, and just each one is slightly different, or like totally different, that sort of thing. And again, like, that's just kind of touches on the fact of the infinite nature of reality in the afterlife. So that was pretty cool. And I asked him, have you met any angels yet? So if so, which ones? And I got one answer, but I kind of moved on, so I really apologize to the next question after that. So I don't know if it was more than one or not, but his response was, you bet I did. I shook the hand of an angel, Michael. So Michael the Archangel, actually. So he did meet him in person, which is, again, really cool and makes me smile just to think about, because his Marvel Universe is all about angels and demons are in there, all the different gods and goddesses, and remember, infinite possibility, and they're all real in the afterlife, including Thor. So Thor is real, which is pretty cool. So then I'd asked them, have you ever been to a realm full of Marvel superheroes and supervillains yet? So he said, I sure have. Jerry, my friend, was his exact answer. And then so I asked, well, who created it? So, because remember, like, when you get over there, I get over there, we can do the same thing. We have the, just the ability of infinite possibility. So this place, this realm, or this planet in particular, he said people from Earth created, which is really cool. So that means people got together, Marvel fans probably, and just created their own literal Marvel universe with planets and all the superheroes and villains and probably all kinds of new ones too and everything. But he visited that place since he's been in the afterlife, so that's pretty cool. And then I'd asked, so did you play any Marvel games on PlayStation while you were down here? And he said, I sure did play Marvel video games while on Earth. I absolutely did, he said. So that was his response to that. I played some too. I have like not a whole lot, maybe 2 or 3, like the Avengers and Spider-Man on PlayStation. But I do have some, which is why I was curious, if he did. So I brought up some questions about just some random questions, Marvel questions, of course. But I told him I think Hugh Jackman was a perfect choice for Wolverine. So when I was growing up, I did like X-Men. It wasn't one of my favorites, but I liked Excalibur more than X-Men. But Wolverine was cool, and I played video games with him too. Growing up, like there was X-Men video games, and I watched cartoons. Then they had a Street Fighter version with Wolverine in it, so that was pretty cool. But I said he was a perfect choice for Wolverine, and wondering what he thought, and he said he was exactly the perfect person. I agree with that 100%, and the right guy for the role, he said. So that was pretty cool to hear. If you can't tell, he's like super nice and super happy all the time. And that's how he was on Earth too, and that's how he came across, which was really neat. And very friendly too. So, and then here, by the way, so some of you may have seen the movies and everything. This is Wolverine from the comic books. The original one here I think there was even this is right around the original drawing, and there was one version of him prior to that. But and then this is him in the comic books as well. Awesome movies. I've seen both of them, and definitely recommend both of them as well. So, and there's some more pictures as well too. Oh no, there are three, I think. Was there Wolverine, Wolverine 2, or Wolverine the movie? Oh man, I'll have to double check on that. But I have seen them all. And again, awesome movies. And so next, I also brought up, I said, I think Patrick Stewart was a perfect choice too for Professor X. So you guys probably remember him as well. Stan had said he was the perfect choice for the role. I don't know if anyone else could have played him better, is what he said. And I totally agree with that too. Like, Patrick Stewart is a great actor. You know, he's supposed to be a leader, Professor X, that sort of thing. And he has very good poise. And he was able to bring that character to life, I think, quite well. So here's him in the comic books, and there's Patrick Stewart. You might recognize him from a lot of stuff, American Dad or Star Trek. But this was him in the X-Men movies, one of the series. So he was in Wolverine too, I believe, too. A lot of the crossover movies or spin-offs. And then I told him, I had mentioned I didn't like Famke Janssen as a Phoenix. What are your thoughts? So I didn't. Phoenix was pretty like a powerful character in the comic books, and here's some pictures. This is her from the original X-Men movie. They had some like the Dark Phoenix here, and different actresses play her. And here's a good representation of her in the comic books right here. It's supposed to be super powerful, but and right here as well. I don't know. I just didn't like her for the role. Like I thought Patrick and Hugh Jackman were just great for their roles. I didn't feel she brought this to life very well. But so Stan's thoughts were I liked Famke actually. I really did. She did a great job acting, he said. So personally, not my favorite. I don't know who I would have preferred to see in that role. But that was great to hear his opinion on that. I thought that was pretty cool. So, and I told him, too, like I mentioned earlier, so I was a huge Spider-Man fan growing up. You know, not so much X-Men until the movies came out. And he said, well, no kidding, that sounds great. So that was his response to that. In fact, like Avengers, Deadpool, I wasn't even a fan of Doctor Strange. Really just Spider-Man and a little bit X-Men or Excalibur growing up. But mostly Spider-Man. And I immediately became a fan of like Thor and the Avengers. I didn't like them at all in the comic books, but then these movies were awesome, and then so I became a fan of like Marvel all over again. So it was really cool again to be able to talk to him about this sort of thing. Oh, Nightcrawler. I forgot if I got to mention this earlier. Oh, and that reminds me too. So I also asked. Okay, yeah, so that's right here. This is Nightcrawler. When I asked if he teleported like Nightcrawler, this is who I was talking about. This is a really good depiction of him right here, I think. And then this is his signature. It always said that in the comic books. It makes that bamf sound whenever he disappears. And he looked quite different in the original X-Men. I haven't seen any of the reboots or anything like that, but this gives you a pretty good idea who that was. I almost forgot to mention earlier, too. So I actually skipped right over that question because I pulled up Cyclops here for good reason, too. When I asked if he tried other superpowers like super strength, he actually did, too. He said, he said, I tried to shoot beams out of my eyes like Cyclops, was one of the other superpowers that he tried. So, again, sounds like he's having fun, and I think that's pretty cool to imagine. And here's some pictures of him here, and this is like the original one, and this is more like not the newest, but like a newer version of him. So, and he shoots like energy out of his eyes, and he uses that visor to control that. So he tried that. That's as far as we got as like the powers conversation. I can't imagine. There's probably all kinds of cool stuff that he was able to try. You know, basically just like in the movie. So, and so after we were talking about Famke Janssen, I asked him who's prettier, Famke Janssen or Halle Berry. So, and I pulled up. Did I pull up their pictures? I can look it up for you guys real quick. Here's a trailer too for Doctor Strange. Again, awesome movie. So we saw what Phoenix looks like. This is her, and that's Famke Janssen. And she is pretty. She's very pretty. And here is Halle Berry, of course, as Storm. Well, she did. It was so horrible. She's a great actress. I would think personally that Halle Berry's prettier. That would be my choice personally, if I had to pick. But man, what a horrible, horrible job they did casting her as Storm in the first X-Men. So anyways, that's just my thoughts on that. So I asked him who's prettier, Famke Janssen or Halle Berry. He said both. He said, I'm sorry, I don't have a favorite or a preference actually. So again, super nice guy. I kind of figured he would say that, to be honest, but it was pretty funny to hear his response to that. So, and then basically bringing it to a close, I had said, well, thank you very much for your time. This was a great conversation, and it was too. So I really enjoyed having that with him. And his response, it sure was a great conversation, was what Stanley said. And I asked him one final question at the end. If you would like, what would you like to say to all your fans still on Earth? So his exact words, right here, I want to make sure I get this right, pull up my notes. So he had said, I love you, my friends. I hope you all have a great, great time down there on Earth. That's what he wants to say to all his fans. So, and I imagine because he just such a nice guy again, and very fan friendly, and probably couldn't meet everybody, during his time here. Impossible, really. And I imagine very happy to, looking forward to meeting everybody too, and new fans in the afterlife too. If you think about it, people who've heard about him, he probably had millions and millions of fans down here, and then he gets over there, and now there's like billions and trillions of, infinite populations of people everywhere that probably heard from him. So that's kind of cool to think about too. And I wanted to make sure, because I was picturing him smiling. I said, did you say that with your signature ear-to-ear smile? And he said, you bet I did say it with an ear-to-ear smile. So he repeated that back to me. It was really, really funny. So again, real positive, real happy guy. And definitely thank him again for that. It was a really great conversation. All right, so there is the video and the interview and the conversation I had with Stanley, which I'm very grateful for and had a great time doing. So I want to thank him again for that. And had a really good time doing it. So speaking of which, I did do a video. Like, if you'd like to send messages to people, it's a brief video as well on my channel where it kind of explains the process of how to send messages or gifts or that sort of thing. And so you can send messages if you want to Stan or anybody at all. So if you want to check that out, I think it's really cool and a great way to be able to participate, in that process, and just know that your message got through and everything like that. So, and of course, I think Excelsior. I think that's a great way to end this video. That was Stan's one of his favorite words to use that he said all the time. I had to look it up to get the exact meaning, but it means it's Latin for higher or upward or onward, basically. So I think that's great, to excel and to just keep doing your best. Just a great term and a great way to end this video. So I thank you again for watching, and any comments or ideas, questions, or about anybody who to speak with. I'd love to hear your ideas. I've gotten some great feedback actually so far and other ideas for more videos. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. And of course, as always, please take care and thank you for watching.